conversation. As you know, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, but that doesn't matter today because what does matter is that we have an extraordinary special guest here on Intellectual Chocolate. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Dr. Wesley Muhammad. You have probably seen him all over the place, whether it's on television, radio, print, social media, etc. This brother has he's one of the good ones. He's one of the good ones, and that was one of the reasons why I reached out, because I wanted to speak to him in person and get to know him. And so, without further ado, I want to welcome my brother to Intellectual Chocolate. Man, how you doing today?
I'm well, Dr. Watkins, man. I'm tremendously honored by the invitation to join you on your impressive platform, man. I'm a long-time admirer and respect of you and your work.
Well, thank you, brother. Well, the feeling's mutual, man. Every time I see you speak anywhere, you always say something that is interesting, that's profound, that's thought-provoking. So and the other thing that I've always like, this was the thing that really made me ask, the people that I work with to reach out to you is that you really have the best interest of the community at heart. You talk about those tough issues that a lot of people don't talk about, and I really respect that. So let's start from the beginning, man. Are you with me, Dr. Muhammad? Are you able to see me and hear me? Sorry about that, man. You know what happened? You know what happened is I hit a button and I kicked myself off the internet, and I looked up and my Wi-Fi was turned off. So let me start over again.
Yes,
My question. So first of all, I'd like to know more about you, and I'm sure everybody else would who isn't familiar with your extraordinary work. Where are you from? First of all.
well, originally from Detroit, Michigan, born and initially raised in Detroit, Michigan. So yeah.
Okay, and so out of Detroit, are you now in Chicago? Is that right?
Yes, but I guess by way of Atlanta. From Detroit, I spent 10 years in Atlanta. I did undergrad school in Atlanta, Georgia, Morehouse College, and I made Atlanta my home, so I was there for 10 years. Then I went back to Ann Arbor, Michigan to do grad work, doctoral work at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And then I went back after completing that process. I went back to Atlanta, so I was brought to Chicago by the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan directly from Atlanta.
Okay, and that is we had talked about this before, and I want everybody to know Dr. Muhammad is he's a student minister within the Nation of Islam. He is also a member of the Executive Council of the Nation of Islam, which is the governing body, which is under the leadership of the great and honorable Louis Farrakhan. Let me ask you this, just as a start off point, and when did you join the Nation of Islam, and what led you to gravitate toward the organization?
Yes, sir. Thank you. In high school, my junior year, I, like most Black people in America, grew up in a Christian family. So my family inheritance was Christianity, but around my junior year in high school, I had questions, sincere questions. I had no intention of leaving Christianity. I didn't know any better, but I had questions having started to read the Bible. And I would ask different individuals questions and they couldn't answer me. And eventually I annoyed them enough that they brushed me off and sent me to a local Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen, if you will, a local historian, African history historian. And I went to him and asked him questions, and he shared with me things about religion that just so disturbed me. I immediately became an atheist. I would grow to become an arrogant, bitter atheist as a result of that experience. But then I went to Atlanta, Morehouse College, my 1990, and I encountered the Muslims, and I encountered the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I encountered the wisdom of the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, though I had followed him politically as an atheist, but I would close my ears to his religious talk. I was a Black nationalist, Afrocentrist, so I would just close my ears to his religious talk. But when I got to Atlanta, I encountered the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1990 and the wisdom of the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan. And both of those converged to shake my atheism. And so I decided at that point, I was tired of blowing in the intellectual, spiritual wind, or blowing in the direction of intellectual and spiritual winds that I encountered. So I decided to divest myself of all beliefs, of all disbeliefs. I don't believe nothing. I don't disbelieve nothing. We'll study everything, and wherever that study leads me, that's where I would end up. And that's where I ended up. The Islam of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that study beginning in 1990, is my first encounter. I accepted through the 5% Nation of Islam in 1990. And in 1992 is when I officially joined the military training of men who belong to Islam in North America, or what we call the FOI.
All right. Well, I love it. And everybody who just came in, I'm talking to Dr. Wesley Muhammad. He is from the Nation of Islam. He's a member of the Executive Council. And first of all, I want to say that I recently found out that you were the recipient of the Sadnetta TV Award as the Islamic Scholar of the Year. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, that's great. I actually got an award for economics as well. And
yes, well deserved.
Oh, thank you, brother. Same to you, man. Same to you. Congratulations, man. So let me ask you about this. One of the things I like about what Sadnetta did in New York with his award show is I like the idea of Black people creating things of our own.
Yes, sir.
I like the idea of us, not waiting around for somebody else. I mean, my God, you're waiting for an award from your oppressor. What kind of award can your oppressor give you that actually means anything, right?
That's right.
Other than the fact that you're easiest to oppress, or when you serve the oppressor's
we
purpose.
Get that.
Right. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, right? But so what do you think about the importance of that? I mean, one of the things I can say that one of the things I love about the Nation of Islam that I will never ever let anybody talk me out of one way or the other is I like the idea of establishing institutions in our community, right? Yeah. Institutions, they give you something concrete. They give us this validation that we need to feel like we're a part of something meaningful. It gives us structure, all these things. And so with this award show, for example, to me, I see that as an example of that. Can you kind of speak to that? Just the importance of that kind of sovereignty and understanding the need to build something that's ours as opposed to trying to break into something that belongs to somebody else.
Absolutely. Your points are very well made, both in the broad context of our need to build institutions and in the more specific context of Sadnetta TV Awards last month. Shout out to Brother Sadnetta. So I speak to both regarding the show, the Sadnetta TV Awards itself. I have to give my brother Sadnetta credit, because what was key, Dr. Watkins, for me at that award show was all of the camps were there. Everybody in full regalia. And everybody who was wearing our costumes, if I could say that with no disrespect, me included. Right? But in the past, Sa has been accused, and not always unjustly, I think he would admit, has been accused of being the drum major for divisiveness in the Black conscious community. But he pulled off an event that I don't think many others could have an event in which all of these groups, some of them in conflict, all of these individuals, some of them in conflict, but you would have never known it on that day at all. And so tremendous credit goes to Brother Sanetta for pulling that off. And that should be registered as a feather in his hat as we critique our brother, and all of us stand to be critiqued. All of us need to do what we do better. That's why we in the Nation of Islam, I'm not Brother Minister Wesley Muhammad. I'm Brother Student Minister Wesley Muhammad. The Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan requires all of us who labor in the Nation of Islam to put student in front of our title, reminding us that we have not achieved perfection or mastery in our labor yet. So every day we are students striving to do our labor better. And in the process, the public critique is helpful. So we can criticize Brother Sanetta in the past, but we must give credit where credit is due. And he pulled off a very impressive display of unity and recognition on that day. In terms of Black institutions, that's nation building. We spend too little time emphasizing areas that are tangential at best to nation building. You know, Brother Dr. Watkins, there was a controversy a little while back because of a comment I made on the Breakfast Club about the value of what type of education we should pursue at these colleges and universities. And I made the comment from my teacher, the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, that, well, Africana studies is good, Black history is good, but we should be sending our children not to study Black history or to get a Black history degree, but to get STEM degrees, to study the sciences, because we have to be about building institutions in order to build a nation. So what you're doing in emphasizing financial independence and independent Black media, and independent media, you know, in this Trump era, we are being reminded of the value of independent media because the government is at war with the free press. And we need in our nation to have an independent media, and you, Dr. Watkins, are doing a tremendous job in helping to institutionalize that.
Well, you know, I appreciate that, and I agree with where you come. I was processing your comment about you know, the one you made on the Breakfast Club. I did not see it. I heard about your interview though, you know, and I'm glad they had you on. I mean, and it's funny. I mean, you know, in light of the controversy recently with Charlemagne and everything, I think it's also important, as people are going to be honest, as they should be honest about, you know, asking those hard questions. It's also important to make sure the public knows that typically Charlemagne is the one that's behind getting people like yourself and myself on that show. You know, Minister Farrakhan was on that show. I remember making that connection, and and Charlemagne followed through. I don't think anybody else would have followed through. I think that a lot of these mainstream outlets are afraid of people like yourself or Minister Farrakhan, or even me for that matter. You know, I'm not. I got banned from CNN for a whole year during the Obama presidency because of some stuff I said about white folks.
Right,
so,
right.
But you know, but digging deeper to your point, man,
I think a testament to you.
What's it again?
Which is a testament to you to get banned by our enemies. That means you're doing something right.
Brother, I'm very proud of being banned by the enemy. And and the thing is, what I want Black folks to understand is that, you know, if you're really doing your job, if you're really out here fighting for something, you really are making a difference in the world, and you're really achieving your goal, and you really are going after, or as I call, the big piece of chicken, people are not going to applaud you for that. White folks will never, you'll be happy if, you know, if millions of black children are hearing from Dr. Wesley Muhammad. They're not going to be happy about that, but that's a sign of success.
That is right.
That, you know, we are breaking the bonds of that oppression. If millions of white folks suddenly said, "Oh, we love that Wesley Muhammad, he's great," I'd be a little nervous. You know,
that is absolutely the case, which is also why, Brother Dr. Watkins, the Black Lives Matter effort as currently executed is an exercise in futility, because we are going to white people pleading Black Lives Matter. Black life will never matter to white people. And the only Black life that white people validate is not Black life, but Negro life. The Negro that serves the interests of white supremacy is the only Black life that matters to white supremacy. So a movement to convince white people that Black lives matter is an exercise in futility at best. The movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, needs to be directed to Black people. Black people need to be persuaded that Black life matters. So yes, I don't want a million white man march honoring Brother Wesley. Know that I have failed miserably what I set out to do if that ever happens.
Hey, I agree with you, man. By the way, everybody, I'm speaking to Dr. Wesley Muhammad. He's a student minister from the Nation of Islam. He is also a member of the Executive Council of the Nation of Islam. If you want to follow him on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, just look up Wesley Muhammad. This is a brother I think everybody should follow. You know, we can follow the entertainers and the rappers and all that, and that's fine. But just know that 90% of what you're going to get from those other spaces is going to be garbage. It's not going to empower you. This brother will strengthen you. And so that's why I invited him in here today, and it's an honor to have him. So let me ask you about this, man. I want to talk to you about, you know, manhood in the Black community. I don't know if it's because I'm not 25 anymore or what, but I look around in the Black community and I see, how can I say this? I see a void when it comes to the kind of manhood and the kind of leadership that a community needs in order to truly nation build. I see, you know, even when I'm watching a lot of social media, and I'll see, I was watching, you know, a lot of brothers doing these new dances and stuff like that. And one of the brothers was like moving like a woman in a pink sweatsuit, you know, and it kind of concerned me a little bit, not because not to say anything about sexuality and all that stuff. That is what it is, another conversation. But it's interesting to me that so many other males gravitated to this very feminine behavior. You know, most of the dances, if you guys go back and look at the biggest dances that have been done by men, going back to hitting the quan, is very homosexual.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I mean, you know, women walk like, you know what I mean? And
that's right.
I see that translating into
great observation.
Yeah, brother. I mean, it bothers me. And then it translates into the behavior of some of the brothers in terms of, you know, are you taking responsibility when it comes to family? Are you fighting back when they come and get you? Or are you crying? You know, and so I want to get your take on that. Have you observed kind of a shift in Black manhood maybe in the last 20 years? What do you think's really going on with that?
Yes, sir. Wonderful observation, critical observation, Dr. Watkins. I have not observed simply an organic shift in, I guess, what they call the performance of Black masculinity. I have observed, and we are documented, a deliberate re-engineering of Black masculinity in America. Black masculinity, as it is performed today, is the direct result of U.S. social engineering. Black masculinity, after the riots of the late 60s, so-called riots, but urban rebellions of the late 60s, Dr. Watkins, Black masculinity was literally pathologized and criminalized because those who examined the urban rebellions diagnosed the problem of that Black violence as the problem of quote, Black masculine hostility. So starting with the Nixon administration in particular, once Black masculinity was pathologized, made a medical problem, the medical solution to that problem was neutralizing Black masculinity, biomedically curing the problem of inner city Black masculinity. And so if Black masculinity is the disease, Black femininity is a healthy condition. So starting with the Nixon administration, the chemical unmanning of Black males of the inner city in particular was launched. It was the Nixon administration's methadone program in particular that began the chemical assault on Black masculinity as a medical solving of this pathology called Black masculinity. So from the Nixon administration, and then really with Reagan, Bush, Clinton to today, this government has been engaged in deliberate scientific neutering of Black masculinity in the inner cities most urgently, but in general and widespread, this government wants to and has re-engineered Black masculinity such that there's no real difference today in the minds of so many. There's no real difference between Black masculinity and Black femininity. They are fluid, we are told.
Well, when I hear what you say, I believe you. I believe you. And because we know for a fact that, first of all, you can't put anything past the oppressor, because the oppressor is really shown in a multitude of ways that they're capable of anything. You know, when the experiments were happening, there were people who would never believe the government would ever do such a thing, but they were doing it, right? We also know that for hundreds of years, the Black male has been seen like a threat, a rodent, a predator, you know, something that needs to be neutralized or exterminated. We also know for a fact that it's proven again that that people that have this power, whether it's, you know, the government, Democrats, Republicans, etc., we know that they are deep into social engineering. That's why I'm not down with the liberals. The liberals want you to believe little crazy things like that. Right. There's no difference between being a man and a woman, and their gender is a figment of your imagination. What universe do you live in? It's crazy, right? And then I don't know if you saw this. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you know, you at least heard about it. Did you see that NPR interview where they had that brother from Berkeley, where he said that he was working for one of the companies that makes the
Tyrone Hayes?
Yes, yes. And found that the chemical changed the gender of male frogs and the female.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Can you kind of speak to that? It sounds like you're familiar with it.
Absolutely. Dr. Tyrone Hayes is very critical. He worked for Syngenta, who produced a herbicide, atrazine, that Dr. Hayes discovered literally induces physical sex inversion, full sexual inversion. Now, the illustration that went viral was the sexual inversion of African frogs, where a male frog through atrazine was literally, its gender was literally inverted. He became a female frog, an egg-bearing female frog. Now, what is important about this work of Dr. Hayes, he indicated in his actual studies, which we report on in our book, Understanding the Assault on a Black Male, in his actual studies, he documents that sexual inverting effect of atrazine isn't restricted to amphibians. It induces those sexual disruptions in mammals as well, including humans. And atrazine is one of the most widespread contaminants of most water sources in America. But what's important, I did a lecture in Atlanta. The lecture was entitled The Atlanta Project, Dr. Watkins. We have the report, the governmental report on the water of Atlanta. They tested the water source, Atlanta's or the state of Georgia's water source, for the chemicals and contaminants that are found therein. And there were over 100 contaminants in the water, but what they did, they tested the source water and finished water, meaning the water before it went through its processes and the water after it went through its processes. And of those 100+ chemicals, you see a big difference between the water in its initial state and the water, the amount of this contaminant after it has been sterilized. However, there was one chemical, Dr. Watkins, that had 100% in its source state and 100% in its finished state, and that one chemical that went unaffected through all of their processes is atrazine. Atrazine in the water of Atlanta, where Atlanta is known as the gay black Mecca. Well, that's not an accident. Atlanta's water has been deliberately weaponized with atrazine, 100% going into the process of sterilization, 100% coming out of the process of sterilization, which only means those who are responsible for the water of the state of Georgia wants the finished product to have a high content, 100% of atrazine.
Wow. Everybody, I'm talking to Dr. Wesley Muhammad, in case you just came in. Make sure that you hit the like button, the share button, and the subscribe button, so we can have other people hear about these conversations. These are critical discussions in the Black community that you're not going to get on mainstream TV. But this is mainstream. This is the new mainstream. This is right where we need to be, right? So
the Black stream, which is the mainstream.
Exactly. You know, well, I'll tell you, man, I think that, you know, when I look around and I see, so first of all, as far as the situation with atrazine and all that, I mean, I think anybody, no matter what your background is, you got to see that video. In fact, later on for you guys, I'll dig it up and share it with you so you can check it out and just decide for yourself. I mean, right. You know, it's not to say that, you know, that you should take my word for it or Dr. Muhammad's word for it if you don't want to, but do some research for yourself and don't put it past them, you know, to do whatever they got to do to control us, because we know for a fact that after the 1960s, there was a very clear effort to contain Black people. You know,
that's right.
Everything from the drugs and the weapons and the mass incarceration and everything else, doping your kids up when they go to school, you know, all these things. And the number one target on these of all these systematic factors is the Black male.
That's a fact.
Because they don't want a Dr. Boyce Watkins and Dr. Wesley Muhammad on every corner.
That is right.
Because we know how to defeat the white man. We know how to outsmart him. We are stronger than him. We are more capable than him. We're physically more capable. Just every category of capability, we exceed him. So imagine if you had 20 million Black males who were just like us. That would be a white man's nightmare, right?
That's right.
And so, so if I'm him, you know, the reason I'm everything you say is completely credible is because if I'm him, I do everything I can to stop people like me. But,
That's right.
but given that I'm me and you are you, we have to do whatever we can to protect the community. And so, what I would like to ask you, Dr. Muhammad, is, just so we can make sure everybody has, applicable solutions. Let's say you get your mom or your two parents, and hopefully everybody's, all the kids that are connected here have both parents, but sometimes we know things happen. But let's say that you got a black boy at home, and you say, I don't want my son emasculated. I want him to be strong. I want him to be able to fight. I want him to be able to win. What are some tips that you could share with parents on things you could do to your sons to take them off of the hamster wheel of white supremacy, so they end up becoming an asset to the community rather than a liability?
Yeah. There has to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Community intervention to the problem of Black manhood, Brother Dr. Watkins. The restitution or restoration of healthy Black manhood has to be a and the community project. Sisters who are single mothers raising Black boys. I get this asked a lot. It's a very legitimate question because it's an urgent question, because it's an urgent reality. 70% of our homes, Black homes, are headed by women, single mothers. So we live a Black matriarchy today. This talk of toxic Black patriarchy, that's a myth. It don't exist. It never existed in America. Our reality is by default a Black matriarchy. And in many of these homes, mothers are trying their best to raise Black boys into manhood, which, while we salute you, sisters, for your best effort, a Black woman cannot, in and of herself, raise a boy into manhood, not the proper articulation and performance of manhood. So what does she do? What does a mother who has a Black boy do to baptize him, train him up, expose him to the proper performance of Black manhood and masculinity? There has to be community intervention here. In the Nation of Islam, we have manhood training class. And the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, we call it FY class. The Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan just last week opened up to the male public our manhood training class on Monday nights. But there needs to be more such organized community manhood training centers. That's what I mean by there must be community intervention in this matter. So a mother who is raising a boy, she knows where she can send her boy to be exposed to a proper and healthy performance of Black manhood and masculinity. Mothers should not be left alone to have to raise Black boys into Black manhood. That has to be a communal burden. There must be community intervention in this matter because it is this urgency of now, in my opinion.
Well, you know what? I've always said that the same way, when the economy crashed, we needed to, the people that felt that they need to bail out the banks or bail out Wall Street, Main Street, everything else. I've always felt that we need a fatherhood bailout.
Absolutely.
We need every able-bodied man that has a few minutes, a little bit of time to contribute to the redevelopment of manhood in the Black community. And I am absolutely convinced that there is nothing or almost pretty much nothing in the school system that creates a strong Black man. There's nothing right there in media, in Hollywood. Ain't nothing in Hollywood that creates a strong Black man. Ain't nothing in corporate America that creates a strong Black man. ain't nothing that your son turns on and sees on TV or on the radio that creates a strong black man. So we must create this in our community, because it's as you mentioned, it's a dire situation, and we know that the oppressor has no incentive to create strong men because that's competition, right?
That's right.
So if you're ready to compete, I think that we should do that. And I'll say this, everybody who's watching, and Brother Wesley, I would love for you to join if you would. We have something called Black Men United, which is an organization Andre Hatchett and I started. We co-founded it, and basically the number one goal was to build a better black man, build stronger men, men who want to learn.
I would sign up immediately.
All right. Well, the URL you can sign up, brother, is, and I would love to have you as an honorary member for sure, or as an honored member, with all privileges that come with that. It's at blackmenunited.net. So everybody who has a black male who wants to be a black man, who wants to learn the secrets of manhood success, but also who wants to be put in a position where you can work with and learn from and collaborate with other brothers and just join the team, almost like joining a football or basketball team or joining an army. Go to blackmenunited.net and sign up. It's totally free. And it's just something we created, man, because, I got daughters and I'm seeing, some of the stuff that's coming through the door. And I remember just thinking, man, am I just that intimidating? Am I just that hard on people? Or why don't I see a lot of young men that are really able to compete in this world? When you're on the battlefield as a black man, I mean, they're trying to kill you every day. Sir. So why are you smiling and dancing, shucking and jiving and wasting your money, making babies and remaining ignorant? Don't want to, open up a book. Don't want to work hard for nothing. Ain't ready to fight for nothing. I mean, I understand some of our people are defeated. Some of the men, I think, are depressed because if you are following the white supremacist channel for black success, they lead you right into the pit of depression, because you get to the finish line and find out there's no opportunities for you. And it's terrible. But then also, I will say this, and I'd love for you to speak to that point, is I am firmly convinced that that point that you made about the importance of a man teaching young men to become men, that we need to re-emphasize that. A lot of people get offended. They say, well, what do you mean? I can't raise my son to be a man? Well, I'm sorry. I can't raise my daughter to be a woman without her mother.
That is a fact.
Right? It would be crazy. I can't. How am I going to teach her how to be a woman? I can teach her some things, but I can't teach her how to.
Fathers of daughters, we cannot.
Exactly.
We can teach our girls to be good human beings, and a mother can raise a son to be a great human being. There is no denying that. And so many of these single mothers who are dealt a very bad hand, often by us black men, dealt them a very bad hand, but they have done tremendous work in producing tremendously good human beings. But as a father, I cannot raise a girl into womanhood. I can't teach her how to be a great woman. I can teach her how to be a great human being, but not a great woman. A mother can't raise a son into manhood. That's not a slight against our sisters. It's more of a slight against us black men who have abandoned the job and left it for our sisters to try to do. If I could say something, your observation is so key. Why are these brothers showing up at your home and my home wanting to court our daughters, but they don't display the type of manhood? They don't even indicate a desire to display the type of manhood that we grew up on. A very important study, I think, sheds light on that phenomenon, Brother Dr. Watkins, a 2012 Princeton study in which they proved the reality of gay black privilege in America. This particular study analyze the salaries that white corporate America hands out to 4 categories: straight white men, gay white men, straight black men, gay black men. This study demonstrated that corporate America, the highest salaries doled out by white corporate America were straight white men and gay black men. And so remarkable, the salaries of gay black men were on par with the salaries of straight white men. And in some cases, gay black men's salary was higher than that of straight white men. The lowest paid, there's no surprise here, straight black men. So there's a privileging of the black gay and a penalizing of straight black men. And that speaks to the larger phenomenon that I think your observation goes to. Strong black men, just starting with straight black men, are penalized by this society because strong black men are a threat to this society. Strong black men and white men with their perennial crisis of white masculinity. America was founded on and never got away from the crisis in white masculinity. And so one of the reasons they go so hard against black men, it's part of their dealing with the crisis of white masculinity. That's why strong black masculinity is such a threat. And everything in society is designed to neutralize strong black masculinity. So that 2012 study confirmed that black femininity, black male femininity, is privileged in this society, and strong black masculinity is penalized in this society. Well, and so the brothers of this generation see it. They know that they can advance further in this society by twitching a little harder. And so in order to advance in 2018 America, these young brothers are seeing you have to be feminine. They see, even if they don't know the study, they see the reality of how black femininity is privileged in this society and black masculinity is penalized in this society.
You're absolutely correct. You know, it's and remember this too, you know, by the time they hit adulthood, many of these boys, if they've never had a real male role model around, you know, they really grew up thinking that it's okay to behave just like their mother. You know, they, you know, just
absolutely
the way mama talks, the way she walks, the way what mama does, and you know, I saw a little boy one time, and I don't think his mama knows he's gay. I think his mama thinks he's a fine young man, which he's a nice kid. But I said, my goodness, this boy is gay as the day is long, and he's about 13. And I listened to him and his mama talk, and they were like girlfriends, you know, like talking about oh, well, yesterday we watched Claws, and honey, did you see what happened when so-and-so came in and said to such a, you know, and, or you know, and then all the other little things that the personality traits he picked up directly from his mother made him pretty much a woman, you know, and beyond emasculated. I mean, emasculation is bad enough, but then now you've gotten into that range of feminization. And I think the big issue for black males, and then I'll let you get the last word before, you know, I'll let you get back to your day, brother. But
I'm going. I'm enjoying this. I'm going. I think my iPad will go dead, so I'm switching over to my. That's what that is. No, I'm enjoying it.
That means we're having a great conversation, brother. But you know, I wasn't gonna hold you much longer, man. But I think at the end of the day, what people got to understand is that, you know, when you get to the core of power in this world and how people accumulate it, how you protect it, you know, whether you're fighting for land, resources, protecting your loved ones, whatever it is, You need manhood to do that. You need masculinity. You need it. Stop calling it toxic. You know, that's like, you know what that reminds me, you know what that makes me think about when they point out black toxic masculinity and make all of those boys want to turn into women. It makes me think about how the United States gets all upset when a country decides to develop nuclear weapons. Oh, you don't need nuclear weapons. You need to get rid of your nuclear. You need to disarm. And then you look at the U.S. We got more nuclear than anybody.
That's
and what they're basically doing is they're saying we want to be the big fish in the pond. We don't want no competition.
That is correct.
Same reason that in the Mormon church back in the day when they would have the polygamists and everything, the men who had the power, they would kick out the boys when they were 13 years old. But if the girl tried to leave, they would go chase her down.
That's right.
Like, we don't want no problem. I want to have the only penis in the room, right? Go back 1,000 years. The king would have a bunch of concubines and a bunch of eunuchs. He did not want men around who were going to compete with him. So at the end of the day, it's about that basic competition. And from the moment we get off of those slave ships and they saw our big, strong bodies, our powerful penises, our amazing intellect, they have been scared of us ever since. So their number one goal when it comes to a black boy is number one, either if you can, you abort him before he's even born. That's why black people end up having abortions marketed to them more than anybody else. Number two, you tame him. You tame him like you do a wild animal. And then number three, you neuter him so that he does not become a threat. You neuter him through no education. You neuter him through no economic power. You neuter him by making him want to be a woman. Next thing you know, you ain't got no competition. That's right. What the master plan is. And there's no other way to lay it out. And it's an ugly game. Like war.
Perfectly laid out.
It's not, and that's why I think black folks got on and saying, I want you to get the last word, brother, because you got me pumped up. I love what you're saying, man, because I think that we've got to realize that if we're going to play this game, you ain't gonna have no friends in this game. Like your opposition will never get together and applaud, meaningful progress in the black community.
That's right.
They will never do that. Just like Steph Curry will never be happy if LeBron James wins a championship by defeating the State Warriors. He will never hand him that trophy. LeBron's gonna have to go take it. And that's it. So if you can't cry every time the Warriors bring a new player onto the team, he can't be upset because Steph is hitting 3-pointers from half court. Or he can't get mad because they running a better offense, better defense. Compete. Black people, when they start putting up obstacles, you compete. When they start trying to slow you down, you compete. When they add a new barrier, you compete. That's how you win a war. That's how you defeat people. So go ahead, brother. Please get the last word. Thank you for letting me get that out.
No, that was perfectly articulated. That is the plan, and that's the reason for the plan. Everywhere the white man has gone on this planet, he had to be the only man in town, everywhere. So everywhere he set his boot, he constructed systems, economic systems, political, social, religious systems designed to unman the local male population. He has to be the only man in town. And then in that paradigm, the black masculinity that is toxic is the black masculinity that is a competitor to his need to be the only man in town. So all black masculinity is toxic, except it is a feminine masculinity. A feminized man, a feminized black man is a friend to America. A masculinized black man is a threat to white America. I would say in closing, one of the things I appreciate about you so much, and again, I mentioned my first encounter with you, Dr. Watkins, was when I was first brought to the city of Chicago by the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan in 2012. And you and he did an event together at, I believe it may have been in Harvey, or one of the cities.
It was on the south side at a church. I think it might have been Trinity United, but
I think you're right. And what I saw then and today, your great assets is how you represent black male intellectuality. Most people who listen to me know that one of my crusades is to bury the ghost of Steve Urkel. The character Steve Urkel demonized black male intellectuality by making it corny. And so our daughters will prefer a dumb thug or a dumb jock to a black bookworm, what they call a black nerd. Mm-hmm. And black male intellectuality is the power. But black male intellectuality has been made so corny, so unattractive, that black boys shy away from it because too many black girls reject it. But what you do, what we need is black male intellectuality displayed with strength, with integrity, with some swagger that isn't corny. And that's what I see every time I see and listen to you. You represent black male intellectuality so well. And as we, in closing, as we are addressing this urgency to reconstitute black masculinity, we have to be real clear that a focus of our reconstituted black masculinity must be black male intellectuality, because the real power of the black man is not our penis, it's not our muscle, it's not the weapon that the enemy gave us. The real power of the black man is the black mind, the most powerful force in all the universe.
There you go. Well, you know what? I'm not even gonna mess up what you just said by even saying another word, brother. I love what you said. I agree 100%. And I want everybody who's listening, go follow Dr. Wesley Muhammad. You can just go to Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Look up Wesley Muhammad, and you can find him. He's always thought-provoking, always powerful. He's extraordinarily good at what he does. He's on the executive council of the Nation of Islam. He's a student minister there as well, alongside the one and only and the extraordinary Minister Louis Farrakhan, and so many other amazing
Not people. Alongside, under the tutelage and leadership of
there you go.
The Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan.
There you go. We are all children of.
We are not peers. And I'm low.
Well, I love it. I love it. Well, we got to show that respect. And so everybody, please make sure you follow Wesley Muhammad. Also, if you are a black male, or if you know a black male who is looking for brothers that want to move forward, join us at blackmenunited.net. That's blackmenunited.net. I'm going to send this interview out to all the brothers in Black Men United. And the number one goal is to just build a better black man. If we don't develop those institutions, nobody will. We talk to brothers about, getting economically strong, traveling around the world, how to respect and protect black women, just all the things that black men need to know to make it in a world where you got a whole lot of threats and a whole lot of competition. But if we stick together, we become the strongest fist in the neighborhood.
That's the community intervention I was talking about. Thank you for your work, Dr. Watkins.
Oh, well, thank you, brother. Thank you. All right, everybody. So make sure you hit the like button, share button, subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button if you're on YouTube. Pass this conversation. Everybody take 1 second right now. Please share this video. Just all you got to do is hit the share button, start a conversation, and get people engaged in this discussion about black manhood and how we can really build a community that we can be proud of. My vision for the future, and Dr. Muhammad's vision as well, is a true kingdom for black people that goes all around the world, where we reclaim our right to the throne. It ain't like it's the first time we'll have the throne. It'll actually be the second time the throne was taken from us, but we're going to get it back, and I believe we can get it.
Give me that.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, brother. It was an honor to meet with you.
The honor is mine.
All right. Take care of yourself. All right. Peace.